Megastar Tom Cruise and film director Joseph Kosinski's Top Gun Maverick features an array of secret Easter eggs that summarizes why the sequel was so good in honoring the original film's legacy. So stay tuned and don't go away, because we're about to reveal Top Gun Maverick's hidden Easter eggs and how they prove its best legacy sequel trick, plus all of Top Gun Maverick's Easter eggs and how they reference the original film. First up, how does Top Gun Maverick's hidden Easter egg prove its best legacy sequel trick? You're about to find out. A secret Top Gun Maverick Easter egg proves the movie's best storytelling trick is to honor the franchise's legacy. Top Gun Maverick took 30 years to make, and fans were super stoked to see Tom Cruise's Pete Maverick Mitchell strapped into the cockpit again and doing his part to keep America and the world safe from an Iranian nuclear threat. The sequel film also delves into Maverick's struggles with both his professional and personal life, which at times is as topsy-turvy as the fighter jets that he pilots. Not surprisingly, Top Gun Maverick was a massive commercial success for Paramount, and it was officially Tom Cruise's top-grossing movie of all time. The reasons for the film's wild success can be boiled down to two primary reasons. The first reason is that the film moved Maverick's story forward, and the second reason is that the film was careful to pay homage to the legacy of the Top Gun franchise. For fans of the original film, the second reason was of particular importance. The original characters were just so memorable, likable, and iconic, and they had to be honored in the sequel film. One Easter egg in particular, the audio of Sliders Howl from the volleyball scene in the original movie for Hangman during the recreated Top Gun beach scene, effectively summarized Top Gun Maverick's storytelling style, honored the original film, and delighted Top Gun superfans. Many films go way too overboard with nostalgia to the point where it loses its luster, but Top Gun Maverick knew just how to strike the right balance. Next up, how did Top Gun Maverick avoid common legacy sequel mistakes? Let's take a look. Top Gun Maverick definitely chose to capitalize on nostalgia, but as I said, it was a balanced approach and they didn't go overboard. Top Gun Maverick's opening, for instance, is an intentional redo of the original Top Gun's opening scene. Top Gun Maverick director Joseph Kosinski was scrupulous when going back to the events of the original Top Gun, and he knew when to focus on the current story. Case in point, look at the way Kosinski made use of cameos. Instead of featuring loads of characters from the original Top Gun film to evoke feelings of nostalgia with fans, Kosinski only brought in Val Kilmer's Iceman, because Iceman was so important to Maverick's story in the sequel film. In other words, Kosinski's goal wasn't to emotionally manipulate viewers with lots of familiar faces like we've seen with so many other franchises. And this proved to be a very wise decision on the part of Kosinski. Another wise choice by Kosinski was choosing to do a beach scene to honor the original film, but he wanted to make the iconic scene different from what we saw in Top Gun. The Easter egg highlights just how attentive and thoughtful Kosinski was while doing the film. He successfully crafted a scene that was reminiscent of the original film, but offered fans something new. Up next, how did Top Gun Maverick give a deeper meaning to Maverick's training regimen? We're about to find out. Top Gun Maverick director Joseph Kosinski chose to give a deeper meaning to Maverick's unorthodox training regimen, and in the end, it proved to be a very wise choice. In the sequel film, Maverick knows that his trainees are the best and the brightest of what the Navy has to offer, but more importantly, he knows that if the squad is to function as a cohesive unit, they must foster a bond with one another. Maverick was inspired by his own training days and turned the game on the beach into a learning/bonding experience for his trainees. For now, everyone is wondering if and when Top Gun 3 will happen, but whatever the studio's plans are, hopefully they'll stick to the Top Gun Maverick formula when it comes to nostalgia, because sometimes less is more. Another great storyline and callback to the original Top Gun film was the callback of Penny Benjamin, the Admiral's daughter. In the sequel film star Jennifer Connelly plays the character Penny, Maverick's new love interest when he heads back to the Top Gun program in Los Angeles. If you recall, Penny is a callback to the first film when Goose taunts Maverick regarding a history of high-speed passes over 5 air control towers and 1 Admiral's daughter. Goose said the Admiral's daughter was named Penny, so Connolly's role in the sequel ties ties everything together with a nice bow and brings the story full circle. Stay tuned and don't go away because we're revealing more Top Gun Maverick Easter eggs. Next up, did Tom Cruise's Maverick buzz the tower in the sequel film? You bet. When Maverick is soaring across the skies, he loves to have fun and push the limits of his aircraft. Oftentimes, the result is that he annoys his superior officers. In the case of the sequel film, John Hamm's character, Admiral Cyclone, becomes increasingly angry with Pete because he just won't grow up. One of the things that Maverick loves to do is buzz the tower, flying his jet within meters of the flight control tower at breakneck speeds. He did it when he was young in the original Top Gun, and he does it again in the sequel. Fans love seeing Maverick having fun and annoying his superiors, but clearly Maverick's superiors aren't laughing, and they don't find it funny at all. Also, it's because of Maverick's antics that over the past 3 decades he hasn't achieved a higher rank. Another Easter egg in the sequel film has to do with Goose's death. The sequel had several shots of Goose's death from the original film, and we see Goose singing Great Balls of Fire to his family in a bar as Pete watches on. Goose's son, Rooster, played by film star Miles Teller, plays the piano and sings the same song in a bar as well, and it was a poignant tribute to his late father. The sequel film also shows Rooster looking at many images of Goose and Pete and his mother, who was played by Meg Ryan, who ultimately died. But wait, there's another Rooster Easter egg. He even wears his dad's mustache, and Maverick speaks of Goose's ghost for inspiration. The sequel film highlights the traumatic impact that Goose's death has on Pete, who keeps reliving the grief of Goose's deadly ejection malfunction. Up next, how does Top Gun Maverick handle Iceman's tragic return? Let's take a look. The sequel gave us tons of photos and flashbacks to Pete and Val Kilmer's Iceman. Their alpha male rivalry is essentially what drove the 1986 film's storyline, but in Top Gun Maverick, Iceman is Pete's mentor and very dear friend. Iceman inspires Pete to train new pilots, and the pair even joke about who's the better pilot. Sadly, Iceman dies off-screen in the sequel, which is a nod to Kilmer's ongoing real-life battle with cancer. The closing credits of the sequel even referred to Iceman simply as Ice, which was a nod to his nickname being shortened at the end of Top Gun 1986. As you can clearly see by now, Top Gun Maverick is chocked full of Easter eggs and nods to the original. Speaking of the original film, Maverick hit Charlie at the bar, not realizing that she was his teacher. The following day, when Maverick shows up for a training class, he sees Charlie and realizes his mistake. He's embarrassed, but nevertheless, they move past the awkwardness and start a steamy relationship. Top Gun Maverick revamped this plotline and had the new recruits toss Pete out of Penny's bar after he couldn't pay his bill. The new recruits had no idea that Pete would soon be mentoring them. Finally, why does Maverick continue to flout the hard deck rule? The short answer is he hates hard decks. For those of you who may not know, the hard deck is the lowest altitude that jets are permitted to fly for a given mission. It's a safety rule that Pete loves to float. He did it in the first film, was reprimanded for it, and of course he did the same exact thing again in the sequel film. However, Maverick's rationale for doing so in the sequel film had a better reason. Maverick went down to 300 feet to show John Hamm's Admiral, Cyclone, and the trainees how low they actually needed to fly in order to bomb the enemy facility, and that the mission was feasible. In other words, Maverick did it to give the trainees hope and inspiration that they could get the job done. He also did it to get Admiral Cyclone off his and the trainees' backs. The sequel film's final mission quotes are also very revealing. Maverick constantly tells his trainees, "Don't think, just do." This is a remixed dialogue from 1986's Top Gun when Maverick says, "You don't have time to think up there. If you think, you're dead." This helps Rooster rescue Pete in the sequel's final act when they steal an F-14 behind enemy lines to escape. Top Gun Maverick was a long-awaited, adrenaline-pumping, macho male thrill ride. In short, it was everything I expected and wanted it to be and more. But I want to know what you think, so drop some comments down below and let us know your thoughts. Well, that's a wrap for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to our channel for more great videos.